Hello again, I am Blunty, and late last week I spent 11 minutes 32 seconds wistfully breaking down the basics of what we know so far about a brand new MMO coming along, and just about to hit an open beta phase that it will run with right through to full launch on PCs sometime later this year, and which will in all likelihood coincide closely with the launch of the game on the Nintendo Switch. And yes, crossplay is a thing, hooray! It is called Palia, and it's an MMO unlike any you may have ever seen. It's a cozy MMO, a chill MMO, an MMO inspired by the likes of Animal Crossing, Harvest Moon, Stardew Valley, and Breath of the Wild. But one of the things I only briefly touched on in my last video was the monetization. Palia is going to be free to play, which for some of you will be no problem. You're used to hearing those words, but for some others who've been around long enough in gaming, well, that might mean a very different kind of anticipation, even wariness. Depends on the level of conditioning you received and how young you were when you started playing games and when that exactly was. So let's dive in and see if the game's money-making scheme is as gentle as the vibe of the game itself, or how savagely, catastrophically, manipulatively crook it might be. And if you are skeptical, who can blame you? We're used to not being able to have nice things at this point, aren't we? Before that though, the usual gentle ask for a thumb and to check the sub and bell on your way down to the comment section, where today I want to ask you about what you think is the best, or indeed the worst, free-to-play game you have ever experienced. What's the most horrible monetization scheme you've ever run into? What's the best one? What kind of monetization do you like best? So, what I can talk about when it comes to monetization, and indeed all I know when it comes to that, because I've not got any insider info nor am I under any NDA, is this. The devs themselves, and specifically a dev who goes by the name of Wizard Crab, an apparently mythically empowered crustacean who heads up the business team, so seems like the right person to ask about this, has said this on the question about the business model. Singularity 6's vision is to create alternate worlds that deepen players' lives to bring people closer together. To achieve this, Palia has to be available and accessible to everyone, which means no subscription and no upfront purchase to pay. We believe this decision helps break down as many barriers as possible for people to be able to play Palia together. So, that's an encouraging start, and it does check with the general vibe of the game itself, doesn't it? Ease of access, open friendliness, and a strong focus on cooperative community. The devs do go on though with more specificity, claiming that they will only be monetizing cosmetic content. And I say claiming because frankly, we've heard this before and seen it change down the road after they think people aren't paying attention anymore, after the reviews have come out, etc, etc, etc. So there's saying and then there's doing, and often for game devs, certain game devs certainly, these two are not the same thing at all. But this is a small, new, dedicated team formed, they say, for the specific purpose of making friendly community games. This is not Bethesda and their hollow promises of just cosmetics for Fallout 76, for example, that they almost immediately went backwards on. So I'm choosing trust over skepticism this time. And as I go on here, you'll learn why they've engendered my trust. In the dev's own words again, at first, this will focus on character clothing and costumes, but will evaluate more spaces as time goes on. There's nothing revolutionary here. Clothing and costumes have long been a staple of successful, player-friendly, free-to-play monetization systems. We think it will be a good fit for Palia as well. And that's all fair enough too. It's certainly my preference, and they're right, it's been used very successfully by quite a lot of games over the years. It's an excellent place to start. We will not monetize any core gameplay in Palia, says Wizard Crab. You won't be able to pay to level up your skills faster or get that rare achievement more easily. If you visit someone's awesomely decorated house, you'll know they earned each piece of furniture and put in the time to make it shine. We believe this is critical for you to feel great about the time you spend in Palia. And they're also separating the crafting from the shop stuff entirely. So while you can craft things in-game, you can't simply buy them instead of crafting. And in match to that, the things in the shop, the stuff you can actually pay money for, won't be craftable or otherwise obtainable in the game elsewhere. This decision was made, they say, to ensure that when they design something for the game, because again, it's an MMO, ongoing content is a thing, So when they design something, there's only one motive in play designing that thing. They're either designing something they hope will entice a purchase to help fund the game and pay the devs, or they're making something that is made only to serve the gameplay purely. And I like that they're really upfront about this. It sends a very clear message about the motivations and intent, and I really appreciate that. They also go on to state that their intent is to let their purchasables stand on their own feet and not use the sort of usual sneaky, tricky psychological manipulations free-to-play games so often dirty themselves with. Once more, in Wizard Crab's own words, in general, our store will have items that are directly purchasable and available all the time. There may be exceptions to this, but there will be a specific reason why in each case. The key takeaway is that you won't be forced to buy loot boxes or be overly pressured by the fear of missing out, FOMO, to get that one item that you wanted before it leaves a continuously rotating store. We think that by providing a shopping experience with high agency and low pressure, we'll hold ourselves to a higher standard of products, and you'll leave the shop feeling great about your decision to spend or not spend. So, while there might be some seasonal stuff, for example, for holidays, like Christmas and the like, their larger intent is not to try and trigger fear of missing out, the FOMO, and to not fake some kind of artificially imposed timer or fake scarcity to manipulate people into spending when they otherwise would not. This too I respect quite a lot, because I can't name any other game that doesn't at least try some of these tricks. And again, being upfront about this, putting it on record, and making sure they can be held accountable to their own self-proclaimed standards and their own words tells me a lot about the people behind this. They are saying the right things. All that is left now is to watch if they keep doing the right things. Because again, saying and doing, not always the same thing when it comes to business. But as a new studio, with a new IP and a game like this, and being set up to do the things they want to do, in their own words, well, it's not really in their own interest to piss off a player base that wants cozy games. And as it is an MMO, good monetization, consistent monetization, and monetization that the player base will accept and engage with continuously, long-term, and regularly, all of that is pretty damn essential to keeping the game alive, because as an MMO there are ongoing costs to just having the game available to play. So there is reason to hope they'll be pretty responsive if they ever do start getting it wrong. And again, their openness about their thinking behind how they're monetizing is a strong first impression. So yeah, there you go. That's what we know about how the free-to-play stuff works so far. I'm sure we'll get a lot more info probably quite soon, because there is a gameplay reveal live stream happening in about a day and a half, and I would imagine at some point they're probably going to dive into the shop on that and show you what's there. So fingers crossed we get a little peek into what the storefront looks like in their gameplay reveal stream and whatnot, and a lot more exciting information that well, I'll probably be making a video about that too, so stay tuned, sub, bell, all the things, and with a little bit of luck, I'll actually get into the closed beta and be able to share a bit more detail to you guys before the open beta comes along. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Thank you as always to the patrons scrolling up above there. I am Blunty. Thank you very much for your time, and we'll catch you next time.